And I want to see our fields full of crops and livestock. I don't want to see them full of solar panels and other paraphernalia. We have a food security issue in Britain, and we need to make sure our farmers are farming, not filling in forms and doing red tape. We also need to stop the small boats and the illegal immigration in the English Channel. I worked with Priti Patel on the Rwanda policy. I want to extend that to more countries. And I will make sure in the British Bill of Rights we are legislating so we can't be overruled by the ECHR. I'm a plain talking Yorkshire woman, and I know that a woman is a woman. Now some of you might be laughing, but there are parts of Whitehall and there are parts of our public sector that don't seem to understand that. And I will make sure that single-sex spaces like domestic violence shelters are protected. I will also make sure that we do everything we can to defend our country and our values and promote our great role in the world. The fact is that there are too many people in this country who are ashamed of our history, who talk our country down, who say the best days are behind us. They are completely wrong. I'm afraid one of them is Mark Drakeford. And his you know, whether it's stopping the M4 relief road, whether it's whacking a tax on our tourist industry, I will crack down on his negativity about Wales and about the United Kingdom.
Sector pay. Just to clear things up, because I know it's something you've been talking about non-stop probably for the last 36, 48 hours or so. So regional pay for public sector workers. You said initially it was willful misrepresentation. Was it actually a woeful mistake on your part?
Well, what happened was we announced the policy. It was misinterpreted. It was never intended by the media. It was never intended to apply to nurses, doctors, and teachers. So I wanted to clear the matter up straight away, and I have been very clear we're now not going ahead with that policy. It wasn't a central part of my policy platform, and I've been clear that it is not happening. There will be no regional pay boards.
It was going to be £8.8 billion that was your projected saving from that policy when it was first announced. Where will that money come from now?
As I've said, this is not part of my central costings. The central costings I have put forward are the reduction in national insurance, keeping corporation tax low, and also having a temporary moratorium on the Green Levy. Those policies will cost roughly £30 billion, and they will be funded out of general taxation, and we'll still be able to see the debt falling after 3 years. Now, the policy you're referring to was something that was much longer term. It wasn't about the immediate term. But as I've said, we're not going ahead with it. It's not happening. And I've been very clear about that. And I'm somebody who, when things are misinterpreted, when mistakes are made, I'm honest about that. And I've said we're not doing it.
The various pay review bodies have proposed an increased public sector pay, that's across the NHS, teachers, police, etc. In order for the Welsh Senedd to deliver on that, they would presumably need more money here. So would you increase the financial settlement to Wales?
Well, there are consequentials through the Barnett formula that deliver for Wales. And it's important that that is followed through on. But of course, the National Health Service is under the Welsh government, and that's the right way of organising things.
But would you increase the funding allotment
Well, it
allocation?
automatically follows through the Barnett formula. When extra money is allocated in England, it follows through to Wales.
Okay, so that's a yes.
Well, it's automatic.
Yeah. We're in Wales. What does Wales mean to you? Have you visited Wales much? What do you think of when you think of Wales?
Well, first of all, I think of the fantastic food. And as you might have heard earlier, I'm a huge fan of Welsh lamb and Welsh beef and the fantastic feed that's produced right across Wales. I've been on holiday to Wales a lot, horse riding, outward bound, all that kind of thing. beach holidays as well, and it's a great part of the United Kingdom. And I guess I think of all the famous people from Wales, like Shirley Bassey, who I'm a huge fan of. One of my favourite songs is Goldfinger. Oh. I love the James Bond theme tunes.
Very good. I'm not going to ask you to name Welsh rugby players.
I thought you were going to ask me to sing Goldfinger.
No,
I've been getting ready. I've been getting ready
for that.
I'm sure
everyone would welcome a rendition. Of course they would. But no, we won't do that.
Some people have heard it.
You've already spoken about Mark Drakeford. Would you ignore him in the same manner that you intend to ignore Nicola Sturgeon?
I think it's a very different situation in Scotland and Wales, because what's happening in Scotland is the entire resources of the Scottish government are being used to run essentially an independence campaign. And I think that is grossly irresponsible. The Scottish government are not delivering for the people of Scotland. They are simply spending their time, and Nicola Sturgeon is spending her time agitating for independence. I've got friends in other parties, my family, lots of them don't support the Conservatives. But I know how to convince people and how to bring people on board. So I think being a convert is actually an asset. Because what do we have to do at the election? We have to convert people. We can't just talk to ourselves. We actually have to go there and win in the country.
And just finally, though, my final question, really, there are posters everywhere here saying trusted to deliver. I see what you've done there with the play on words.
Look, I didn't do the double S, though, even though some people wanted that in. I didn't do that.
Can you understand why some people might be unsure that that they can trust you when you have changed your mind so much? It's arguably a good thing to sort of, when the facts change, your opinion changes, that's fine. But some people might question whether they can trust you to deliver on what you say now, if it might change in the future.
So everything I've promised to do in politics, I went into my job as childcare minister in the Cameron government. I delivered the policy on that, delivered the new GCSEs. My daughter's currently sitting the new GCSEs. She's not necessarily very happy with it, but I delivered that policy. As Environment Secretary, I delivered the response to floods, and I worked to open up these opportunities for farmers across the United Kingdom. In trade, people said we couldn't get the trade deals done. I've done them. Yes, I do change my mind and I do change my opinions over time, but the principles remain the same. I've always believed people should be free to live their own lives. I've always believed that people and their families are best placed to make decisions, not big government. And I've always believed that, in personal responsibility and taking responsibility for your own life. But, who on earth has exactly the same views at 15 as they have at 55? I think that's, that would be more weird, in my opinion.
It's now time to go over to all of you as well. So if I can perhaps,
see if it stacks up and see what we can do to make it happen, because we need a wide variety of energy sources. I talked about gas as a transition fuel. I think nuclear is important. I think renewables are important as well. So we have to do all of it. And frankly, we're making up for lost time. We should have been investing in nuclear years ago, and we now have to get on with it very soon.
Final question, gentleman there with the glasses on, if you wouldn't mind just standing for your question. Thank you very much. And keep it brief, please.
Thank you, Liz, for what you've just said about the environment. But it really struck me that in your speech, the only environmental mention was actually about scrapping the green levy. Now, if you're as committed to net zero as you say you are, why is it that you're pledging to scrap this? Money that is really essential to decarbonise our home, to help keep us warm in the winter, without describing exactly what you'd put in place to replace it. Just please reassure environmentalists like me that you're not just promising net zero as a target, but that you will be the person that can actually deliver it and not take us backwards.
Well, I do support net zero, but what I think is completely wrong is that we have put this tax on people's fuel bills when fuel bills are so high. We know that fuel bills are going up. We also know that the cost of this, which is £4 billion, is affordable within our current budget envelope. So I think our priority at the moment should of course be reaching net zero, but I want to do it in a way that unleashes private sector investment, not in a way that punishes ordinary people who really are struggling at the moment to pay those fuel bills. Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Liz Truss.
Thank you.
Lovely
Thank
to see
you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.